Hey, good morning. It is baseball time, and we got JT Hayes here, and we got Gary here, and we've been on fire, the baseball side. We're making some money. Apparently, it's easy. That's great. Couple things to say. First of all, JSU, if he didn't have diarrhea of the mouth, we would have been on time. So that's wonderful. The guy can't shut up. Tony, I'm only as good as the information I'm given, so I didn't see that you guys were on this morning. So yes, I didn't see you. We'll hop on and do some NBA Finals shows. Great to see JT Hayes, who decided to show up. Has been on the schedule with me a few times. And then there's Gary, who has a hat on today. So good morning, boys. Hi.
What's going on?
You guys are just on fire. That was a great retort. We'll get into the slate today. But first, I want to get your thoughts on Joc Peterson versus Tommy Pham, because I haven't had time to talk about it. I haven't done a show since it happened. Either one of you can take it. It'll be great if you do, but if you don't know about Joc Peterson, Tommy Pham right now, I don't know what you're waiting for. Best part is Tommy Pham took a 3-game suspension because he slapped Joc Peterson because he was upset about fantasy football. Anybody wants to chime in on this, go for it. It's the best story in sports today.
I mean, I think the funniest thing was BigT put a tweet out last night saying that he went to Tommy Pham's likes on his Twitter feed and all he saw was Sal Vitri likes.
What does that mean?
I mean, Tommy Pham was all about the Sal Vitri content on the Twitter feed that we've been making fun of for a while now. So right. I thought that was
JT Hayes, can you add anything better than that? Because that was just awful.
I don't understand the suspension. I mean, whatever happened to letting guys just resolve these things by themselves? It seems like he just got a slap and that's it. It's over with, right? I mean, you ever remember when you were a kid in school, you had a disagreement with another kid and you just went outside, slugged it out, and as long as none of the adults saw it, that was the end of it. I don't know why this can't be the same way.
You just don't slap. And what's with the slaps? Like we used to hit people with closed fists. Now all these guys are just slapping other people. It's ridiculous, and it shows you the downfall of America, JT Hayes.
I don't know that. There was one time in high school where a kid pissed me off, and I thought to myself as I was going after him that if I punched him, I was going to get in trouble. Mm-hmm. So what I did was instead, with 2 hands, I pushed him through a set of double doors.
Okay.
And then he went down a couple of stairs. So it didn't work out so well for me there. But I think that thought process of, hey, a slap is a little bit less aggressive. I'll go ahead and do that, and maybe I won't get in trouble. Didn't work out that way for Tommy Pham, obviously.
So you've never slapped anyone, though?
I have.
You have slapped. Was it men, I hope?
Yeah, yes.
And then Gary, well, did you get a 3-day in-school suspension for doing this to this man, or did you just get off unlike Tommy Pham?
So I went to a Jesuit high school. So we had this thing called JUG, Justice Under God, which was basically,
sounds bad.
Which was basically detention after school where unless you were a senior, you had to write this like in block letters, 35 lines, 7 lines across. Yeah. And if you were a senior, you could go around and pick up attendance slips from teachers. And even though I wasn't the most well-behaved, most of the people there liked me. So I used to go around and pick up a lot of attendance slips my senior year of high school.
Yep. I think I did the same thing. Apparently I didn't know this, but in middle school, I blew up a middle school toilet with an M80. I totally forgot about it though. And my mom told me about it last year. She's like, don't you remember that time you blew up the toilet with an M80? And I said, no, I don't. But that was the good old days. Maybe Tommy Pham should have dropped an M80 in Joc Peterson's pants, and we really would have had a good time. Gary, anything to add to this before we move on? Because I feel like you have something bubbling there that's going to be very happy. You're going to make us all very happy.
I mean, I've seen a couple tweets on this. Tyler Matzik put one out. Tyler Nutsack Matzik. We were discussing this last week, what his nickname was. He says, are you even trying to win your fantasy league if you're not willing to take a slap for an IR stash?
I mean, I'd be pissed off if I got slapped for an IR stash. So no, I would not take that whatsoever. I think whoever the commissioner of this league needs to be fired. Somebody has to be the big boy and put a stop to it so Tommy Pham doesn't bitch out of the league. But that'd be about it. I'm happy that this happened, though. It'll give us a ton of content. And the best part was how Joc just handled it. He's very calm the whole time. He says GIF instead of GIFs. Or does he say GIF instead of GIF? And then he just calmly says, I texted him a thing of the Padres. He wasn't happy about it. He said, you can't joke with me. I mean, that thing really got out of hand. And it wasn't quickly either. It was over a span of about 7 months. So Tommy Pham's been keeping this, he's been keeping it bottled up, and that was probably a good slap by him. Anyways.
I will say, just one thing
yeah,
on the
please.
Tommy Pham thing. Well, Tommy Pham was stabbed in a strip club in the offseason. So this is a guy that maybe
that was the year before, though. That was a long time ago.
Listen, all I'm saying is, if Tommy Pham is in this much controversy, maybe the problem here is Tommy. Maybe Tommy's got some issues. What do you think about that?
Yeah, I think you're right. And I wouldn't be surprised if Josh Peterson gets stabbed next time. So that'd be really bad.
I would avoid the strip clubs in San Diego.
Yeah, we definitely can't joke about it. Well, good morning, everybody. I hope you're doing wonderfully today. I'll get the chat up here in a minute, and I'm sure there's wonderful things being said. Make sure you hit the like button so that everything is well. Gary, huh? Anybody say anything, or is this the voices in my head once again? Yeah, it's happening. All right, take your meds, Kushner. So we got nice warm weather today. It's going to be great. We got wind blowing in Detroit with the the Guardians and the Tigers, 12 miles an hour in, 20-mile-an-hour crosswind in Chicago for the Windy City Crosstown Classic, 15-mile-an-hour crosswind in Minnesota, and then winds blowing out to left about 15 in St. Louis. So that's what we got going on, boys. Finally, we're starting to see offense pick up. Would that be correct, or are my eyes lying to me, boys? Gary, is there more offense now?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's picked up a little bit. I get the Ballpark Pal tweet every day. It says, it gives you like the expected home runs versus actual home runs. It was down like 40% last night, but I think for the most part over the last week, I think we've seen a rise in the home runs due to weather's starting to heat up across the country. So always a good thing when we get bombs every day.
Yes. JT Hayes, what are you noticing?
Yeah, I think we've seen, and even on this slate, we've got some pretty good pitching, and then we've got some guys that just don't belong in the major leagues. And so when you see these guys that are getting brought up, and this is something that we talked about during the week when the Mets had to pitch a guy named Thomas Sapuki, and we said, hey, this guy wouldn't be in the major leagues, but for the injuries to 3 of the 5 Mets starters. So situations like that, Detroit starting a kid that probably wouldn't be in the major leagues today, but for their injuries, then you're seeing runs in those games, and a lot of runs. You're seeing some significant injuries in terms of starters on offense, which is lowering offense in those games. Talked a little bit this week about the Yankees and their injuries, and that's led to some really bad regular players in the lineups. And so it just really depends on the makeup of a particular game. I do think that overall, you're going to see offense pick up here as the weather gets warmer. And to the extent that we see more of these pitching injuries, which with guys throwing, 101, 102 miles an hour, then I think you're going to see more offense that way as well.
A couple things in the chat, and then we'll get going here. Yes, guys, my hair is amazing. Thank you. I do not dye it. I haven't in over a year. Mike, Gary had an injury peeling it to his Brave stack, so the show is delayed. That's not true. He may have peeled, but it was JSU's fault because he can't shut up. What else do we have? There was one other thing that was pretty good here. Where is my guy Boynton from Sem Osa? He's probably still drunk, and he's definitely passed out. Gary, there's no way that dude's showing up this early in the morning.
Yeah, it's his birthday weekend. He's back home in D.C. He's been partying with his boys. He's probably still asleep. There's no question he's still asleep right now.
And apparently Tommy Pham has a hot sister from Greg. All right, Greg, thanks for that input. And congratulations to Junior, who had a nice little hit. I woke up this morning, I looked at the Twitter feed, and it was Junior making some money. So I said, Junior, good story. And then Holden's been on fire with his play of the day. I have. We are at 9 out of 11. So we're doing pretty good. 9 out of the last 11. And they've been some pretty shitty players too. I know you want my hair, Mike, but you can't. So let's get into things. Poor JT Hayes. You just don't get any of these jokes, do you? JT, let's start with you in the pitching side, though. We got some arms, huh? McClanahan going up against that watered down Yankees lineup. I'm actually glad Aaron Hicks is in there because he's horrible. You've got Corbin Burns, Dylan Cease, who's had a little rough go of it recently. Your boy Max Fried is out there today. Break down pitching for me. Maybe give us a little pairing, and who do you like?
Yeah, I think on the surface it seems pretty straightforward, and then I think you look at some of these guys and there are some pretty glaring concerns. I'll start with a guy who looks like he's going to be very, very popular at the lower end, and that's Tristan McKenzie. Nothing to argue about with this matchup. Detroit has been absolutely horrible. The concern here with McKenzie is his batted balls in play against average, 081 over the last 2 games. Tough matchups, though, against Houston and Minnesota, and looks like he's been getting a little bit lucky. So I'm not sure. I know there's a good game environment there, but if he's going to be popular, I may want to pivot other places. For me, starting at the top, I think it's Dylan Cease. He has been on the opposite side of Tristan McKenzie, just absolutely the unluckiest pitcher on this slate so far this season. Of course, ran into the Boston Red Sox buzzsaw his last start out and got lit up there. But against this Cubs team with a heavy wind blowing in, as you mentioned, I think Dylan Cease is going to be a guy that I go to in really 85, 90% of my lineups here. I just feel that way, that he's going to bounce back here. McClanahan, the price point is up. The matchup, you really can't argue with. Talked about how these Yankees are injured, and he looks like he's going to come in a little bit lower owned. You go down and you have some of these other guys, Corbin Burns, in a decent matchup against St. Louis. That's a low total. Severino, 9K, gets a little bit of a price drop. And Tampa Bay has been striking out an absolute ton. You mentioned Max Fried. I think the thing with Max Fried, and I'm sure Gary will talk about this a little bit, is his history against the Marlins has been good, but not great. And so you wonder, is this a spot where, even though Miami has been absolutely dreadful against left-handed pitching, they've always managed to just chip away at him enough to where he hasn't really had the big games against Miami. It is going to be hot here in Atlanta, so that's something else to consider. And then you start to look around and say, who else can I play? And I don't know if I'm going to get there just because of the environment, the total in this game. But man, Washington has been awful against left-handed pitching this season. And you look at Kyle Freeland, who has actually been decent, 6-1 here. I honestly think I may go with Kyle Freeland in just some lineups, just because this Washington team does very well against right-handed pitching. Their numbers recently against lefties, 19% strikeout rate, 053 ISO, and a 92 weighted runs creation plus. So I don't think it's the worst play that you can make on a slate like this, where some of these bigger name pitchers are going to do just a little bit under what their expectation is.
So you're not as big on Kyle Freeland against – that is just 2 awful offenses, by the way. Rockies on the road versus the Nationals, and then the Nationals versus a lefty. Holy moly.
Well, the interesting thing there, though, it's a total that's been rising. I think it's at 9.5 now. And all the ownership in that game is on Washington, who hasn't hit left-handed pitching. And so the Rockies are going to come in at 2% own against Josiah Gray, who actually gives up a lot of hard contact. He gives up, I think, the second or third highest number of home runs per 9 innings on the slate. So I think that's an interesting leverage spot there, is to look at the Colorado side as opposed to the Washington side in that game. Not sure that it's going to be one of my primary choices there, but I do think it's interesting in terms of leverage.
Let's bring in Gary, who's wearing a hat today. Gary, good morning. Wonderful to see you again. You got a little pitching pairing for us before you break down the whole slate? What are you thinking right now?
I think it's really I want to pay for some top end offenses on the slate, so I don't think I'm going to be pairing 2 top studs here. I think I might go. I haven't fully decided if I want to play. I mean, Cease is in an incredible spot. I mean, he's definitely my top guy. Pairing him with somebody. I mean, I love Tristan McKenzie today. I know the BABIP numbers are telling people that, hey, there's some regression coming, but he gets Bill Miller today as well. And I mean, I've already bet his over on the K prop. Like I've bet multiple things on McKenzie today already. I love him in this spot. I know he's going to be hugely popular, but I mean, man, he's been really, really good this season. So right now I'm probably leaning a Cease McKenzie pairing, but we'll see.
Cease McKenzie pairing. Okay, so give us the rundown here, buddy. What do you got?
Yeah, so up at the top, definitely have interest in Shane McClanahan. I mean, he has been. I mean, he has the highest strikeout rate on the slate, 37%, massive. He's got the lowest Sierra on the slate at 2.07 again, going up against this Yankees team. They do have LeMahieu back in the lineup, and Judge, but I'm not really scared of anybody else here. So definitely like him. I don't think I'm going to be on my boy Max today. I mean, he just hasn't put up. I mean, he's put up 230 spots this year against the Dodgers and Milwaukee, but man, underperformed the last 3 starts. I don't think he's got his sharpest game right now. I don't like paying the 9,200. Plus, I'd rather just go up and get Cease for 600 more, or go down to some of these other mid-range options. Two other guys that I do have some interest in today: Sonny Gray, 8,200 against Kansas City, and Nick Pivetta at 7,800 against Baltimore. But definitely have a little bit of interest in those. But I'll be heaviest on. I'm definitely not going to play Kyle Freeland. I get the play. I understand it. I just can't click his name on this slate with such good pitching. So I'm going to be heavy on Cease, McKenzie, McClanahan, and then I'm going to sprinkle in some Pivetta and Sonny Gray.
Okay. Good morning. We've got 328 watching. We'll, I guess we're going game by game, right? Even though we should just do stacks and leave it, but we'll do that. Sem Osma. Hey, Sem. No love from RPS on my 100K shipper 2 nights ago at MLB in the FanDuel 777. I'm going to run it back with Cease today and ship again. You know what, Sem? Fuck yeah. Can we please give him an F yeah or something, JT Hayes? I mean, the guy's feeling left out. He only won 6 figures. Good God, Sem. Nice work.
He actually routinely does this. He's one of the sharper subscribers. He's been doing very well. That's why I said we always give him love. So congratulations. Another good hit.
Maybe you need some cranberry juice, Come on, man. Man up. That's fine. We're fine here. Gary, do you want to say anything to Sem? And I'm being serious, Sem. I'm congratulations, dude. That's a huge hit. Yeah, Gary.
I mean, that's good for Sem, but I want to give another shout out here to another member before we get started on this.
Sorry, Sem.
This breakdown here. Jay Burton 18 in the Discord. DraftKings has this MLB single entry series. It's been going on all week. Today is the last day. He is currently sitting in first in the 222 standings, winning 8,000. He's in the top 3 in the 44, and the 555 as well. So definitely wishing him luck today. Hopefully he takes down all 3.
Can you at least say congratulations to Sem instead of just...
I said
do it again, just because I kind of didn't feel the love. Okay.
I mean, Sem is always. I mean, he is always crushing. I mean, okay. I don't think he needs the gratification.
And he is a subscriber, correct? He's in the Discord, you said. And then we got 112 watching, 332 or 333 watching, 112 likes. Memorial Day weekend. Hope everybody takes a second to actually remember why we're here, because people protected us. And then the second thing would be, I mean, a lot of other people probably feel as shitty as I do this morning after a long night of either drinking or eating edibles or whatever you did. I mean, who knows what they drank. JT Hayes, it might have been just straight liquid LSD, if you ask me. But I hope they didn't do that, because that's dangerous. Nothing to add, do you?
Not on that.
No, nothing to add. It's because you're in law enforcement or something like that. So we'll get to the game by game. I don't want anything to do with Miami and Atlanta. Gary, do you?
Are you kidding me? You don't want to have anything to do with this game?
No, not this morning. Well, you want to talk me into it?
I think Eliza Hernandez is probably one of the worst pitchers on the slate, if not the worst pitcher on the slate.
I like the Braves. Forgot to tell you about that.
Yeah, I definitely love the Braves today. I'm wearing my Braves hat. Got to wear my Braves hat on the Braves stack days. But yeah, I mean, Uncle T mentioned him in the playbook. Michael Harris is in the show now. He's the Braves' top prospect. He's batting 9th, min price outfielder. I call him the Acuna Light. He is a power speed combo guy, top 50, I think, prospect in baseball. Huge power. He already has 12 steals in the minor leagues. It's a big jump up for him. He coming up straight from AA, skip AAA altogether, but I think the talent's there. He got his first hit yesterday. I think he's going to be an everyday player for us. So definitely like the Brave stack. And, I think Matt Olson's pretty much locked in to hit a home run here.
Ooh, Matt Olson, huh?
I like Matt Olson a lot. 4,400, like that price. I mean, this whole lineup, top to bottom, I think if I had to choose between the catchers, I'm going to always go with Contreras now over d'Arnaud. It's just he's batting lower. He's always going to be lower owned. He's higher priced, like that. So I like a little Contreras, Harris, Acuna, Swanson, Olson 5-man here.
Whoa, dude. That was intense. JT Hayes, are you on this game? Or am I the only dumbass that doesn't want anything to do with it?
No, I mean, first of all, this is more of a bullpen game for Miami. Hernandez pitched on May 25th, so it's on 3 days rest. They're doing a bunch of things to try and get him right. And when you talk about the Braves, as much as I want them to be the team that they were last year, the reason why Michael Harris is in the big leagues is to try and jumpstart this offense. So I don't love targeting the Miami bullpen. I think you can play some of these guys. Harris is 2K. He is in the 9-hole, but I think, him, Acuna, you can always play Matt Olson as a one-off, but this will be more of one-off, maybe 2-man stacks here. And then I don't really like the Miami side here. I probably will have some Max Fried here.
Anything to add to that, Gary? It's 2 versus 1 now. But JTA's actually had a legit reason.
I got Uncle T on my corner too, so he loves the Braves. So
Hi, Uncle T. What's Uncle T doing? Why doesn't Uncle T hop in here? I mean, this is ridiculous. He just sits there in the chat. Uncle T. Who did the playbook today, Gary? Was it you?
Uncle T.
Oh, Uncle T did it. He always does
every
it, right?
Sunday. Every Sunday.
You already said that. Like I said, dude, it's a straight struggle this morning. All right, JT Hayes, I'll go to you on Baltimore and Boston. All right. The lineups are trickling out here, so we know what's going on. Boston's been going absolutely apeshit. Let's face it. We still don't have a lineup, though. They're going up against Bruce Zimmerman, and Nick Pivetta is facing the O's today. Any O's that you can recommend?
Yeah. I'm actually interested in both sides of this game. Zimmerman gives up fourth most home runs per 9 innings on the slate. He's been a little bit lucky as well. His expected ERA almost a full 2 runs higher than his earned run average. And you mentioned Boston's been absolutely on fire. Both these teams have been hitting the ball actually quite well. Pivetta, second luckiest pitcher over his last 3 starts on the slate. He had an insane run. I don't think he's quite as good as he was on that run. And I do like some of these O's, not a full stack for me, but Mullins, Mountcastle, I think, is back in that lineup, appears to be underpriced. So I like a little bit of a game stack here, as a matter of fact.
Okay. What do you got here, Gary? Anything?
Yeah, I like Pivetta quite a bit. But so no Baltimore for me. But yeah, it's hard not to like these Boston bats. I mean, they've just been winning us money all week. So yeah, I will say this though. I'm seeing Bobby Dahlbeck's ownership is pretty high. I mean, this whole team is going to be, it's really, really, really high. I mean, but I can't play a 3,100 chalky Bobby Dahlbeck. So probably won't be going there. I might, I don't know. I haven't fully decided yet what my main 5-man is going to be yet today on my main team, but definitely in consideration. They've made me a lot of money this week.
Yeah. JD Martinez got to be in play here, right? Big time.
And Trevor Story. I mean, 5,700 is tough price, but he might be the lowest owned guy in the stack because he's so expensive.
Just a little mini stack? What about 2 or 3 guys? That's it.
I don't hate that.
Yeah, we'll get a little different somewhere else. All right, Gary, I'm going to go to you on the next game. And then we got some marketing points to get to. Colorado and Washington. Actually, I know JT Hayes has some thoughts on this with Freeland, but Colorado and Washington, again, Washington's offense is a disaster. Juan Soto has not been good since being on the cover of Sports Illustrated, although I don't think they sell hard copies of Sports Illustrated anymore. He's hit like 200 since then. On the other side, I've just seen too much of this Rockies offense on the road, and it's disgusting. So talk to me here. One thing, though, it's going to be in the 80s today, and that ballpark in D.C. plays really, really small when it's warm out. So Gary, a lot of mixed messages for me, but how do you break this down?
Yeah, I mean, I think Colorado might be the Seattle of last night on today's slate. They were really low owned for us last night. They came through. Julio Rodriguez, Kyle Lewis hit a bomb. I think we're going to see the similar stuff here from the Rockies today. I'm not going to be playing the Nationals, but I will be all over this Rockies team. Josiah Gray has the highest. I mean, he's right behind Bruce Zimmerman as far as the highest expected slugging percentage. Talk about launch angle, distance. I mean, Josiah Gray, 272 ISO against. I mean, he's really bad against left-handed bats, but he's almost as bad against right-handed bats. I'm going to have all the Rockies today. This game put up 20 runs yesterday. I think it's going to be flip-flopped. I think it's going to be a 13-7 kind of score in favor of the Rockies here.
Really? Wow. I'd say that's a contrarian take, Gary, and I like it. I don't know if it happens, but I like it. JT Hayes, are you on Gary's side or no?
In terms of this game, I mean, it's the one thing that has me thinking whether or not I want to play Freeland here is the fact that the total is moving up in this game and up pretty aggressively. So that's why I like the Colorado side. The Washington side, the thing with Soto is if you watch these Nationals games, he just doesn't get pitched to. I mean, there are so few teams that will challenge him and actually throw him a fastball. And you see him, you can see his frustration when he's getting these rinky-dink pitches outside the zone. And because he's young and because he's aggressive and because he's frustrated, he's starting to chase some of those pitches. So I expect you're going to see more of the same today. You want to go with some of the right-handed power bats here. I mean, Nelson Cruz, I think, is always in play against the lefty. But I am flirting with the idea of Freeland here just because of how bad Washington has been all season long against left-handed pitching, even to the point where, and again, watching some of these games, Colorado's been bringing out lefties out of the pen, knowing like Ty Blach actually pitched decently against this team. Ty Blach doesn't pitch decently against anyone. He's just an awful pitcher. And so this is known in baseball that, hey, Washington's got a left-handed pitching problem here. So we'll see where I land.
Okay. All right. Let me get you the marketing points, everybody. Actually, before that, set a number for us, JT Hayes. Usually 200 should be the minimum. 374 watching on this Memorial Weekend Sunday. So, you know, I'm actually surprised that the audience is this big. I'm pretty happy about it. 132 on the like button. What do you got for us, pal?
I'm not surprised. I mean, this has been a good Sunday show. We've been putting together some good info. Last Sunday, crushed it pretty much. So 381 now watching. And look, it's Memorial Day weekend. Maybe people are at their beach houses or with their in-laws, and they're like, hey, I'm going to catch this. I'm going to make some lineups. I'm going to grill out and enjoy the day. So 381, 225, definitely a spot to get to today. We'll leave it there.
225. I like that number. So here we go. Likes, great. Subscribe, little red button in the bottom right-hand corner. Once we get to 10K, Hoops throwing a party. That's going to be great. Also, subscribe to JT's new MLB pod. What? When did that start?
Yeah, so it's the Sweet Spot Pod. And the last couple of weeks, we haven't done one because I had a death in the family, obviously, and then some things. But Holden, what I'm thinking about doing for the next one is maybe a redux of the Wishbone Pod.
No, that's a horrible idea.
And Uncle T and G Rising on. But yeah, I'm going to have different guests in all throughout the summer. Gary, we got to schedule one. So we'll get these going out there. There'll be one dropping this week.
You don't tape it in the morning, do you?
We tape it when guests are available, generally, Holden. So we can work that out. We can work around your, hallucinogen schedule, all those things we can get worked out.
Usually when there's a 9-hour window in my life. So, and I want to sleep for at least 7 of those hours, pal. So we'll find some time. I don't know if G Rising is with us anymore, though. Last time I saw him, he's dressed like a fucking clown with a cash shooter, and the guy's losing it.
He's chasing the Instagram famousness. He's on the Woodward Sports Network, so he's doing his own thing. But I love G Rising, man. Gotta get
good for G Rising.
Yeah.
Good for G Rising. Do you really miss me, Terry Niehaus? I don't think you do. You know what it is? You do. And then by like week 8 of the regular NFL season, you're like, get me the fuck away from this guy, please. I can't handle it anymore. So we're back in the honeymoon phase, me and Uncle T, the love fest, the gushing. I wish he would come on today, but I guess it's just not going to happen. Gary, let's get you back involved in this show and get you to the Yankees in Tampa Bay. Again, the Yankees offense is just, I mean, it's pretty gross. The lineups have been thrown out there. Severino, though, this dude could deal. McClanahan could deal. I actually think the Yankees, as bad as that offense is, it's not like the Rays are tearing it up right now, are they? Do we want anything to do offensively? Is there a one-off in here? Noah Razarena, too.
Yeah, I'm definitely not playing any bats in this game. I just like some other spots a lot more. So yeah, nothing for me.
JT?
I don't think so. I mean, it's always tempting when you see these teams at 1% ownership, but both these teams have been so bad. The pitching is quality, and Yankee bullpen, even though they've been dealing with a number of injuries, still been really, really good.
Okay. Very good. We'll move on to Cleveland and Detroit. It's only an 8-game slate. I've been going way too fast, by the way. We need to slow down here and really make sure we get the full hour in. Again, Cleveland, Detroit, and we got wins in this one, blowing in at 12 miles an hour. Does that affect anything for you in this game? Because I don't mind some of the Cleveland bats, GT Hayes.
Yeah, I think some of the Cleveland bats here, we've talked about McKenzie. McKenzie, I mean, it could go either way. I just lean on the fact that he has been a little bit lucky, and so we'll see. But he's going to be popular, and you can't argue with the spot against Detroit.
Can't argue with that spot, Gary. You just can't do it. Nothing?
I'm going right back to Cleveland here. Probably my top stack on the slate. I mean, I've been riding this Naylor Ramirez combo, and I will continue today. I mean, DK lowered Josh Naylor's price to 3,200 here, which is ridiculously low. I'm seeing under 10% ownership for him. I don't know if I believe that or not, but man, 3,200 Josh Naylor. I mean, this year versus righties, he's got a 374 ISO or a 284 ISO and a 401 WOBA. So sign me up. Jose Ramirez is probably my top bat on the slate.
Wow.
So yeah, love me some Cleveland here.
And a little Jose Ramirez action, huh? You're not worried about that wind blowing in.
He's going to hit another bomb today.
Yeah, him and that, whatever Deco Winstrol cycle he's on, it's not going to affect him. He'll just get it right through the wind. We do have a very interesting comment here. Nathan Moser, are Big T and Uncle T the same person? And I will say this, for the first 4 months that I worked here, I really did think that was a troll account from Big T. And then they said, you got to work with Uncle T. And then I met Uncle T on the Zoom, and they are different people. I promise you, they are different people. Uncle T is Big T's uncle. Normally, if you just call them by their regular names, Terry is Tony's uncle, but it just doesn't sound as good, does it? Very interesting. Just doesn't sound as good. What do we got? 1 game left, guys? Oh boy, Cubs and the White Sox, huh? You were saying something about Cease, right? Is he unlucky? Is that what you said here, JT Hayes?
Yeah, he's got the highest batted balls in play average of all the pitchers on the slate here on the season, and that goes along with about a 35% strikeout rate over the last month. So the Cubs have been hitting the ball a little bit, but I think this is a great bounce back opportunity for Cease here. Again, decent weather, but the wind is blowing in, and I think you can definitely see him getting a bunch of strikeouts here against the Cubs. On the White Sox side, I mean, you could go one-off. Stroman's been giving up a lot of hard contact, but he's kind of normalized back to that guy that just throws a lot of ground balls. And, this total, one of the lower totals on the slate. So, maybe a 2 or 3 man on the White Sox side, but that's about it for me here.
Ooh, what about you, Mr. Gary?
I mean, this White Sox team is just not done anything this year. I mean, Andrew Vaughn, Jake Berger in the 2 and the 3 hole. Like, no, thank you. I'm not going to have any bats here.
No bats. 8 games. Don't you should only have like a 10-game slate on a Sunday morning?
Yeah, I think there's quite a few. There's a 5-game afternoon slate. So they pushed, there's a couple games that are later on.
GT Hayes, you were smirking or guffawing or something like that. Anything funny you've seen? Anything going on?
Yeah. So while Uncle T was describing the differences between him and Big T, and he said one is rich, one is not. And I thought that was amusing. But to your point about the baseball slate, why there's an 8-game slate, I don't want to go on too big of a rant here, but you have, of course, the 11:35 a.m. game, which is streaming on somewhere that nobody fucking has, right?
What is
it? It's like on Peacock
Apple?
Or something. Okay, so there's a game that starts at 11:35 on Peacock. Then they do, I think, an afternoon game on Peacock, and it's frustrating because subscribers are like us, right? I spent probably $400 or $500 on different MLB subscriptions to get every game, and now they're putting games on Apple TV and Peacock and all these places. Just complete disrespect to their customer base. Very upsetting. Hold it.
Yeah, it's not good. It's not good. And then, gosh, I was looking at something. Yeah, it's on Peacock. And I have Peacock, and I still have no desire.
I might have it too. I just why can't everything be on that MLB package, the extra innings package, where they say, hey, 4 payments of $139 or $400, whatever it is. That's it. I want to be done with it. I don't care. You want to have other deals? Go ahead, stream them elsewhere. But for your premium customers, we deserve a little respect.
You ever dated a woman you just hated?
Yeah,
that's MLB to me. That's MLB. I just can't get away from her. She's a piece of shit, but I just keep coming back, man. It's just, all the good stuff just brings me back. So I don't know what to tell you, man. They keep telling every day I come on, like we do that premium show with JSU and Tony's on there. And I'm like, guys, I fucking hate baseball. They're like, you love baseball. I'm like, yeah, I love baseball, but I hate baseball. I hate MLB. Like they try and do something right, which I think is smart. Go stream some games, but then they do it so nobody else can watch it. So it is frustrating. The early game is fine. I mean, when I was a little kid, I would have watched it instead of cartoons, in all seriousness. Care Bears would have had nothing compared to the Mets and the Pirates back in 1984. So that's what I'm saying. What was your cartoon growing up there, JT Hayes? What's your favorite cartoon? Do you even remember? It was like in the 1940s.
I honestly don't remember. It wasn't in the 1940s.
Gary, any cartoons you remember watching?
Not really.
That's unfortunate. You guys literally don't remember anything from watching cartoons.
I mean, I remember Land of the Lost, right?
That was Chukka.
Yeah, I remember that. I remember the song about how a law becomes a bill or vice versa, right?
I'm just a bill.
Yeah, exactly. I remember that stuff.
Yeah.
But I mean, other than that, I don't think I watched a whole lot of cartoons.
All right. Since these two guys don't want to play along, was anybody alive in the 80s that watched cartoons and that remembers it? I don't know what they had on in the 60s with Uncle T, but I'm sure it was something awesome where the children were like drinking and smoking cigars. I just watched Pinocchio a few months back with my kids before they ended up, I think, taking it off of Disney. And in that, there was Pinocchio just got butt wasted and smoked cigars. I mean, it's amazing.
The Smurfs. I remember
the Smurfs. I still got real Smurfs. Beavis and Butthead is from the 90s, silly. Yeah. All right, Smurfs. I mean, Fraggle Rock. Yes. All right, stacks. Gary, who are we stacking?
I think you missed 2 games, Holden.
Hold on. Let me make sure. Hit the right. You're right. I did miss 2 games. That's even better. This is like me on the betting show, which I'll be hosting in about 20 minutes from right now. They always have to correct me. I'm telling you, I'm straight struggling today, but as long as it's entertaining, that's all that matters. There's not a lot expected of me.
Hate MLB.
I'm just here to keep the show on track.
Want to avoid the games.
Yeah. Well, I mean, do you have any Kansas City, Minnesota today? JT?
Yeah. You got it. I mean, we'll see the lineup. The thing with the Twins has been the injuries. Buxton has been. There's some speculation that he's injured, but I mean, Zach Greinke is just not a very good pitcher at this point in his career. Sonny Gray coming off a great start against the Detroit Tigers. It's interesting. I want to see how he pitches today, because I think for some of these guys, they face Detroit, they get the idea that pitching is really easy, and then they go into their next start and it's a little bit of a letdown. So both these teams been hitting the ball though. So, I mean, I think you can go to this game for some of your offensive pieces.
Gary, do you want to go to this game for the offensive pieces?
I mean, Buxton has been really bad. But it's hard not to like some of these Minnesota bats. Like JT said, Greinke's really not good. And KC on the other side. I mean, Sonny Gray, bringing up the Sonny Gray point. I mean, he's faced Detroit last game. He faced Oakland before that, Cleveland, Oakland before that. So, 3 out of his last 4 starts have been really, really cake matchups for him. Coming off of the classic JT ceiling game, JT normally likes to stack against that pitcher next time out. So I'm surprised he didn't bring that up. But yeah, I mean, it's definitely interesting here with Kansas City bats. They've been hitting a little bit.
KC bats. Who'd have thunk it? Milwaukee, St. Louis today. We got Burns on one. Come on. Are we doing anything against these pitchers, Gary? I
mean, you got the hottest hitter in baseball. I mean, he just hit bombs every day. He's got a little BVP. I mean, Paul Goldschmidt. You can never go wrong with a one-off of Paul Goldschmidt, but it doesn't look like Arenado is in the lineup for St. Louis. So definitely not going to be stacking St. Louis against Burns. But I would make a fair amount of bets on Goldie hitting another home run here.
Goldie home run, JT Hayes. He is pretty hot, man.
I'll tell you what, this kid Gorman had a good game yesterday too. So, I mean, 80 degrees, wind blowing out in St. Louis. I don't know. You got a very low total here. So it's just not, for me, a place that I'm going to go. Mikolas, I mean, he should not be 9.4K, but he's also not a guy that really gives up a lot, So, I mean, I could see playing, like I said, one-offs here maybe in this game. And then, yeah, back to that point about Kansas City and Minnesota. If you stacked, I mean, I had like 8 or 9 stacks in Seattle and the Mets last night with that same theory of Eflin coming off like the best game of his career or Quiddy coming off the best game of his career. It worked out pretty well. So that's why I think, and Kansas City is going to come in at 6% owned. And in fact, if you wanted to get a little crazy and try and get some leverage, and you wanted to pay up for 2 pitchers and then do a 5-2 or a 4-4 with Colorado and Kansas City, I think that's very interesting. It's going to be very low owned on this slate, where the popular offenses, I think, are going to be all in the 15% owned range. So not crazy, but Boston, Cleveland, and I think Minnesota's down around 11. So yeah.
Okay. We actually got through the games this time, which is nice. Like button to be nice. Subscribe, bottom right-hand corner, little red button. I mean, you guys are bringing it. Heckle and Jekyll, Heathcliff, Mighty Mouse. Come on. You didn't watch Mighty Mouse, JT Hayes?
Someone mentioned Tom and Jerry. I did see some Tom and Jerry. So that one was interesting. Inspector Gadget. Yep. So I remember that now. Inspector Gadget. It's a bit bizarre, but
Hong Kong
the biggest thing here, 454 likes. We were pretty generous in just saying 225 at the time when there were 335 watching. We're not doing the plays without getting to 225.
No.
So we're going to give it another 2 or 3 minutes, maybe talk a little stacks, top pitchers. And then if we're not at 225, out.
Chaka. I mean, it's just, it's Chaka, not Chucka. I call him Chucka. Gary just threatened you too in the chat. And Josh Day, you know where you can stick your head. It is becoming a funny joke, though. They keep asking me every week if I even play. And then I get all spaz out. I'm not spazzing out anymore, all right? Because the new slogan at RPS is RPS, even our hosts play. Okay? Yeah. So I think Allie does too. Yeah, we got her starting to play baseball. She put one in there. I think she put a couple of people that weren't playing that day, but she'll get better as the days move along, right?
Everybody, there's a learning curve, right? And she's going to get there.
Yeah, she is. She's going to be a star, by the way. She's going to look back at this and be like, RPS, what a joke. Remember that? Remember those days? Fat Albert was a good one too. All right, let's get into this. Stacks. Gary, you've been a little quiet today. It's probably my fault for being just so aggressive. So, my friend, you look wonderful. If I could run my hand through your beard right now, I'd run both of them through there. And can you give us some stacks?
Yeah, so I'm not going to obviously name out the chalk Boston stack. They're definitely a good option here. But my top three outside of that is going to be Colorado, Atlanta, and Cleveland.
Colorado, Atlanta, and Cleveland, you say? Ooh, okay. How about you, JT Hayes?
I will name Boston just because they're so hot, and I think you can start with a Boston 4 or 5, and then go to one of these lower owned stacks. I'll go with the Rockies too. We talked about them a bit, and then I will go with Kansas City here, just because you got some guys that are Bobby Witt starting to look like the prospect that we all expected him to be. I don't know if he's in the lineup, but Sal Perez is back. He was there. Not producing so well, but I think it's only a matter of time. Yeah, he's in there in the 4-hole. Melendez, I hate this when they do this. We got like 2 catchers in the lineup, so makes it a little bit less appealing. But Melendez a little bit lower than Sal Perez. So even Rivera and Nicky Lopez down at the bottom, these guys have been hitting the ball. So I like that stack.
All right. I'm not going to give you a stack. I'm just going to give you a play of the day. So it is time to get to the play of the days, Gary. We love this part because it's one thing that I'm actually good at. Okay. Horrible at just about everything else in the world, but 9 of 11, we could call it's not a luck anymore, Gary. It's skill. And unless we get to 250, you're not getting it. What do you got, Gary?
I'm going back to this guy. He's been my play of the day a lot recently. He came through a little bit for us yesterday. He didn't hit the bomb. He hit it off the top of the wall. But I think he's going to get it done for us at 3,200 at first base, and it's Mr. Josh Naylor.
Josh Naylor. Okay, what do you got here? JT Hayes?
Yeah, I'll tell you, it's tough because there's a couple of good offenses to pick from. And, listen, we've got years of data, years of history here of Nick Pivetta being an absolutely average pitcher. He's been on a sick run.
Guy.
What's that?
You better not take my guy. All right, go for it.
He's been on a sick run here lately. And there's some evidence that it's been the benefit of a little bit of luck. Strikeout rate over the course of the last 3 starts, only around 20%, with a walk rate creeping up. That tells me that he's going to get smashed one of these games. I'm going to bank on it being today. And it's been a long time since we've seen a Cedric Mullins 2-home run game.
God damn
Go
it.
with Ceddy Mullins.
He hasn't been hot though, has he?
Doesn't matter. I think you can, like in the case of Boston, where a lot of these guys are streaky.
Yeah.
And then you look at other data and you say this Baltimore team starting to come around, doing better against right-handed pitching. They have the whole season long, and you get a situation where you've got a pitcher that's going in the wrong direction and an offense going in the right direction. You've got a highest total here, highest total on the slate, and I think you could see some fireworks.
Okay. Cedric Mullins was my guy, but I do have a backup, JT Hayes. I have a backup for you. He's in the worst game of the day, but he's facing a lefty, and I know he's old. Nelson Cruz. Let's go back in time when Nelly Cruz is facing a left-hander. It used to always go out of the ballpark. I think it'll happen again today. It's going to be warm in Nats Park. I see JT Hayes and Gary both shaking their head yes. Yeah. He was my second choice behind Ced Mullins. But I do like some Nelly Cruz today, boys.
So you can pair them, Holden. Is that what you're saying? You can pair them?
I mean, if you want to get crazy, you could pair them. You could put all 3 of our amazing plays together in the same lineup, and it would mean but mind-blowing. So let's do that. So we got our plays of the day, and that's great. And you guys got us to where we needed to be. So that's really nice. I did hit the like Corey Pooler. I did forget at the beginning, but you're right. Voltron. Yes, I watched that too. Never been as big a fan of the Japanese anime, with the exception of Kill Bill, where Lucy Liu's character, her parents were killed. That was cool.
Did you see, speaking of anime, and I'm not a big fan of it either, but did you see the Los Angeles Chargers schedule release hype video?
It was good.
That was
Pretty
one of the
good.
It was ingenious. My favorite part is when they get to the game against the Falcons, they've got a falcon screeching, flying directly into a Waffle House sign. And on the sign, it's like 3 waffles for 28 cents or something like that, bringing back the 28-3. It's pretty good all around.
Okay. Gary, any final thoughts today, my friend?
I mean, we're just wrapping up the single entry series on DraftKings. Wishing all. I mean, there's a lot of RPS, not just Jay Burton. Jay Burton's, in the top 3 in all 3, but we have a lot of members that are in the top of those standings. Got to close it out strong today.
Okay. JT Hayes, do you have any final thoughts?
Man, Cesar Martinez just mentioned He-Man. I can't.
Oh.
He-Man, Scooby-Doo.
He-Man.
Castle Grayskull, She-Ra. Oh,
Scooby-Doo.
I had my girlfriend dress up like She-Ra a couple weeks ago. I'm not even kidding, man.
There you go.
Man, I dressed up like the guy with the Skeletor. It was a pretty cool night. Yeah.
Very nice. Nice. Ren and Stimpy from our guy Sleepy Joe.
That was the 90s. And Powdered Toast Man.
It was an adult cartoon. It was a little more risque, if I remember.
Oh, Powdered Toast Man was definitely a bit more risque, is what we can say about that.
Exactly.
All right, we got our cartoon jargon out, or thoughts out on that. You got some winners. Everybody's a winner today, is all I can say. Gary, it's always wonderful seeing you on a Sunday morning. Underrated crew we have here with Gary and JT Hayes, and of course myself, which really pushes it over the top. So I'm going to be over on the bet side next. Me and JJ and Joey Works. We're going to be breaking down every game. I will probably forget a game or two there as well. And then after that, we got the NASCAR show coming back. Keg, Coop, and JJ, who got me off the NASCAR show so I could talk more baseball. Thank you, JJ. For JT Hayes and for Gary. And the show is good when you don't have any screw-ups, and that means PumaCom did a really good job. Simon, get us out of here.